Minister Tito Mboweni says a decision by the ratings agencies Fitch and Moody to downgrade South Africa further into junk status is a painful one. And to that end, the country is looking continually at ways of boosting the economy and boosting it quickly. Management consulting company Madala and Associates Chief Executive Officer Dilli Naidu, who's going to join me now, believes that manufacturing is one of the sectors that can best assist, and the sector's growth, he suggests, has to be accelerated. Mr. Naidu, good afternoon to you. First of all, explain your confidence in a sector that always seems to be the most impacted by the current economic recession. Where does your confidence come from?
Yeah, Jeremy, if you look back in history and if you look at countries like Japan that was devastated after World War II, the government put a policy framework and an enabling environment where you've created giants and brand names like Toyota, Nissan, amongst everyone else, against very established European and American companies. So it's proven that the manufacturing sector is one of the sectors which has got the biggest enabling impact to create jobs. More recently, in the last 30 years, countries like South Korea hardly could spell manufacturing. Today, similar policies by government, incentives to come and invest in the company. You've got giants like Samsung, LG, Hyundai, amongst others, that are brand names around the world today. And you could look at the track record with the economies like South Korea as an example.
All right, I take the argument. How then, in your words, is the process accelerated?
So if you look at South Africa, this is nothing new. If you look at South Africa and you look at the state-owned companies that were created by the previous dispensation, it was a no-brainer that those organizations were the offtake that allowed the lower down the ranks, the tier 2 and the tier 3 components manufacturer, to supply the companies like Eskom, Denel, Prasa, amongst others. That also accelerated innovation through entities like CSIR, academia, and other universities. So a number of those companies were created largely by the government creating the policy certainty for both international investors as well as local investors to come and invest into those particular manufacturing sectors. Now, as you know, the manufacturing sector, like our economy in South Africa, has taken a real dive. The manufacturing sector have also taken a dive because there's been no offtake in the one area, which is the state-owned companies. The other are the areas like the automotive sector.
Part of the problem, of course, is one of confidence, isn't it? Because in order for the manufacturing sector to be accelerated, you're going to need private sector investment. And this is a sector that has often lost confidence in its own manufacturing capacity and capability.
Well, Jeremy, I agree with you. I had the great privilege of attending the President's two-day summit on Tuesday, Wednesday last week. And I attended the infrastructure workshop, I attended the energy workshop, the manufacturing workshop, and the mining workshop. And what amazed me was the giants like Procter & Gamble, PepsiCo, the large automotive companies, amongst others, from a global perspective where they have opportunities to invest in. They reckon from a price performance perspective, in terms of value for money, South Africa is still a great place to invest in. The big issue that came up in those discussions with the ministers, for example, in mining, was the certainty, the policy certainty around return on investment from those investors.
What is the one aspect of policy uncertainty that you think needs to be addressed? It's become a catch-all cliche, hasn't it?
Well, there's no doubt. Jeremy, as you know, I'm Indian. I was a victim of apartheid, even left this country at a very young age and returned in 1992. I think the BE policy is not a broad-based black economic. The first B has been forgotten. It has been an enrichment of self-vested interest on both the black side as well as the existing white businesses. So we need to start focusing on the broad-based black economic empowerment. So if you look at the issue, one of the issues has been around BE and the transformation. So private sector has also been guilty in that there have not been transformation with an inclusive economic growth model. What do we mean by inclusive? If you look at industrialization, including the manufacturing sector, and you put a complexion to it, it's largely been, for obvious reasons, white males in particular. But now with the transformation program, we have to put a real planned program where you cannot just, through funding agencies like IDC, just provide funding in billions because I am black. That is a definite recipe for disaster. You don't create industries like that by providing funding. You have to have mentorship programs with an inclusive model, so you have knowledge transfer, artisanal skills training, etc. So as an example,
Dilly Naidu, I'm going to unfortunately leave it there because time on this program is always against us. But I think that you have made your point, Chief Executive Officer of Madala and Associates, Dilly Naidu, because I do want to go now